We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. If you're wondering where we are live from the great Fort Walton Beach here on the Emerald Coast, or last night here on the Emerald Coast. Looking forward to tonight's show. It's been very, very fun to be here with the family as they're moseying around, making faces, making noise right before the show, trying to get a laugh out of your boy. But it's been a very good time with my son, Ben, my wife, Megan. Haven't been to the beach in quite some time, and it's been very fun to spend the week with him and my wife, Megan. So looking forward to, glad we had the night, and we'll be back in the studio on Thursday. But we do have a lot to get into tonight. Look, I kind of wish I was in studio for this one. Y'all, Kim Mulkey got robbed. Ruffino's rants is around the corner. Dawn Staley's a fantastic coach. Her team is very good. They're also fantastic. But when you talk about the coach of the year and what Kim Mulkey has done at LSU, the simple fact that she's completely turned that program around from where they were a season ago to where they are right now she deserves and won and should be the coach of the year. Like, there's not really an argument to that. And I get that Dawn Staley and the South Carolina girls have had a fantastic season, but we got to give Kim credit where credit's due. She is, quite honestly, the foundation of why the lady women's basketball team has changed, and they're doing so good this season. So we will talk about Kim Mulkey right out of the break in Ruffino's rants. If you missed it, Rob Manfred is still an absolute Rudy poo. Players are getting blamed. Rob Manfred and the MLB is getting blamed. We'll also put that in Ruffino's rants. Quite honestly, Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner in my lifetime, and that's with Roger Goodell and others that have been commissioners. He is easily the worst that I've had in my lifetime. Rob Manfred, you're a Rudy poo. You should resign right now. Like right now. Ty Richardson, who covers the Arkansas Razorbacks, will be joining us. We'll pregame or look forward to LSU versus Arkansas tomorrow in Bud Walton Arena. When you hear the banjos playing, you know that you're in Bud Walton. So we'll kick it around with Ty. Let's let him break down the Arkansas basketball team. They're on a run. They're on a roll. Eric Musselman has those guys playing maybe the hottest team in the SEC right now, or at least debatably the hottest team in the SEC right now. So we'll kick it around with him. Jayden Daniels, the Arizona State quarterback, is being reported that Jayden Daniels has some LSU interest as quarterback who is in the transfer portal. We will touch on that. What should LSU do if Jayden Daniels wants in? We'll cut to that right after the Kim Mulkey Ruffino's rants. We'll talk about Jayden Daniels, and then we'll get to Ty Richardson at 7:30. And as we do every Tuesday and Thursday, hashtag Ask Blake. You got some questions, you got some thoughts, fire them inside the Rudy Crew chat at hashtag Ask Blake so we can get to all of them. All right, let's get to a couple of these comments before we get started. Darren says, rant, Rudy poo goes to the SEC and MLB. Screw the both of them. I agree. I full-heartedly agree. Rob Manfred is a Rudy poo. And I guess I'll just say this very quickly. Rob Manfred should resign from his post. I understand that Rob Manfred works for the owners of Major League Baseball, but two words, Houston Astros. The simple fact that they were cheating and they got the small amount of penalty that they got is trash in Dookie. Rob Manfred is a joke. I don't care about it is his job to work both sides to come to an agreement. The simple fact that Major League Baseball is horrible at marketing its brand. Give me $100,000 a year, and I guarantee you I will get baseball's marketing back up in budget. At the MLB, tag them, tell them I'm coming. Hell, I'll do it for free for a month if I got to. Actually, I won't do that. But Rob Manfred, and look, this has a chance for college baseball to take a huge step up. If I'm ESPN, if I'm the SEC, I'm pushing college baseball like it's nobody's business. I am pushing a Friday night series this weekend in or 2 weekends at Alex Box. I'm pushing the Shriner Classic. I'm pushing all of it. Stupid Rob Manfred. I don't care what you say. You can disagree with me. The man's a joke. The man's an absolute joke. I don't care if the players are pieces of crap and all that kind of stuff. It's your job to get the owners and the billionaires and the millionaires to come to one. Arbitration in baseball is absolutely garbage. It's absolutely trash. You don't have it in any other sport. And let's not act like we should be at this situation now. You knew when this contract was going to be up and when a lockout would pursue, but you were doing other things. Rudy Poo ass. All right, let's get started. A couple more comments and then we'll get rolling here. Rob Boudreaux says, good evening. Ed says, come on, mash that like button. Yes. Everybody mash that like button. Hit the share too. Ryan and Amanda Guidry says, how is the beach treating y'all? It's good. It's crazy is it's only like 70 degrees, but I got sunburned like a son of a gun. Man, I got sunburned. If you can't tell, my face is got a little red to it. Us Italians ain't supposed to be burning like this. Whew. Call the Cat Dunn says to Nurse Court to everybody, happy Mardi Gras to you and the AYS family. Yes, happy Mardi Gras to everybody. Don't drink too much Fireball. All right. Let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. If you're on Facebook, I see a lot of you that's in there right now currently. Do us a favor by hitting that like button, hitting the share. Share to some Facebook groups. I would greatly appreciate it if you do that. Don't forget to follow us here at AYS Sports Network. If you're listening to us on our YouTube channel, it's about 100 of you watching us, 80, 100 watching us currently live. Everybody do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit the share to your own social media pages there as well. We greatly appreciate it. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast platform, we hope that you subscribe there as well. And we would appreciate it. All right, let's get rolling. That like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Hit the arrow up button. Yes, indeed. All right, let's pay some bills, then we'll get started. None better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. BetOnline.ag. Guys, with over 65 years of experience, nobody's better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. And our good friends over at betonline.ag, guys, I wished we had Major League Baseball to bet on, but unfortunately, Rob Manfred is doing Rob Manfred type of things. Regardless, there's so many things that you could do and bet over at BetOnline. Do you want to bet who's going to win the Super Bowl for next season? You got it. Who's going to win the national championship next season in football? You got it. Who's going to win the college baseball World Series? Maybe coming soon. Wink, wink, hint, hint. But there's so many things, parlays, prop bets, whatever you want to do, you can do it over at BetOnline. Nurse Court, who is currently inside the chat, told us a couple days ago that she had been using BetOnline. Been such an easy process for her. Hopefully, she used the 50% welcome bonus by using the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. Again, promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, and let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. That's betonline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Jason Brumfield says, Kim Mulkey for president. Yeah. You know, prepping for today's show, I had a lot of thoughts about what I was going to say about Kim Mulkey being snubbed from the SEC or just the coach of the year. And there's so many things that came to my mind When I'm thinking about Kim Mulkey and when I'm thinking about what she's done in her legacy, guys, she's 13-3 inside the conference. The number 2 team inside the conference. Now I understand that Dawn Staley in South Carolina is 27-1, but Kim Mulkey and the LSU Lady Tigers are 25-4. Guys, they didn't have 13 wins all of last season. They have 13 wins inside of their own conference. So when you talk about a lot of the same players are coming back from one season to the next, from one season to the next, and you have the same amount of wins inside your conference than you did a season ago, you deserve and part of the criteria of being the coach of the year. Kim Mulkey has said it best, and I agree with her. There's no reason LSU women's basketball probably should be where they're at right now, but they're here. And when we talk about great coaching, we always talk about coaching in general too, that when coaches are doing bad, the spotlight is on them. But God forbid, when they do good, there's not really, oh, well, let's just look at the record. And we don't look what's happened in the past, even the past season, of what Kim Mulkey did for the lady women's basketball team and to what they're doing right now. Guys, quite honestly, there's a very good chance that Kim Mulkey will be the most accomplished LSU coach in all of the bigger sports this year. She's going to be bigger than Will Wade, and God forbid, at least that's it's trending that way, making a push to the Elite Eight, maybe even a Final Four. We know what football did this season and going 6-7. Maybe if Jay Johnson can get to Omaha, but Kim Mulkey's winning right now currently and doing some really good things. Guys, LSU's women's basketball won Sunday, not just based off of talent, because of what Kim Mulkey did down the stretch for those girls to win the game. And she's not the SEC Coach of the Year. Now, I don't know if it's Kim that rubs people the wrong way, or I don't know what it is. But she has been nothing but great since she's been at LSU. Nothing but great. So I don't, and this is the part too where I come and I ask myself these questions all the time, and I hope that you do too. Who the hell's voting on these things? Right? Like, who in the hell votes on Coach of the Year? We have some polls and some media members that vote on it, quite honestly, who I think I'm not going to even say that, but they don't deserve to carry Kim Mulkey's water bottle on the experience and knowing the game enough for them to get a vote on anything. Anything. I agree with this, and I saw this comment by Rick. Rick says, Blake, you cannot measure a coach's team. You can't measure a coach or team's heart. LSU women's basketball has heart, desire, and grit. Quite honestly, Rick, I think that you can. I think that you can gauge when LSU's fighting there at the end, and you got a girls who maybe last year wouldn't have made the plays that they're already making. Where do you think that buy-in came from? It didn't come last year. Where did it come from? And I really don't want to hear Dawn Staley talk about, well, if Nikki Fargas had the buy-in, she did have buy-in. You can do exactly what Kim Mulkey's doing. When Kim Mulkey stepped off the plane, she let it be known that her program, even if she can never come to the feat of being the football team, which she won't ever do. And that's not a slight at her. Nobody's going to be able to do that. Not LSU baseball, basketball, nothing. Not what LSU is, spending in football currently. But my God, she's going to try to be the best damn program on that campus. And our players react to what she's doing, and she's not going to get out-coached. The simple fact that we're having this discussion on, quite honestly, a male-dominated podcast when it comes to talking the sports. We don't come in here and talk a lot of women's athletics. That doesn't, and I don't mean that in the wrong way, and that might be a shame on me. And I would love to talk more about it and have more discussions. But the simple fact that we're leading off the conversation of Kim Mulkey getting snubbed tells you all that you need to know about how dominant she's been. God forbid she win a national title. I'm going to do my own Gatorade bath. All right. Carlton says Mulkey being snubbed and Blake hates Rob Manfred of MLB. Yeah, I mean that's like the Booger McFarland take of it, but yep. Marcus Como on YouTube says Blake, it has nothing to do with Kim Mulkey as a coach. It's the fact that she's coaching at the most hated school in the NCAA. Yeah, Marcus, I got to disagree with you. LSU's not the most hated school in the NCAA. But he says you're either a LSU fan or you hate them. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I can't get behind that. And Jason says it's a conspiracy against LSU. It's tough for me to say that. I just think that people see the record and they see 27-1, and they for whatever reason, that's what happens. And Dawn Staley wins it. But guys, LSU was 6-8 in the conference last year. They were 9-13 overall. Guys, they were 9-13 overall last year, 6-8 in the conference. She's doubled the conference wins, and she's almost at the end of all of this. If she wins 2 or 3 more games, and I'll have to go back. Let's see. They had 25. She wins 2 more games, guys. She tripled the amount of wins that LSU women's basketball had a season ago. That in and of itself is coach of the year. If that would happen to anybody else in any other sport, they would be the coach of the year. You know that, and I know that. Just because Kim won national titles at Baylor does not mean that she does not deserve coach of the year. I don't care if she's got shit going on in her future. She can win in her future. And that's the LSU media premise, which none of you are freaking out about it, and that's fine. But the LSU media premise is really just pushing, Kim's going to have some in her future. Stop that bullshit, man. Stop that. Stop it. You have a platform. Go out there and use it and say the woman got snubbed. Have a hot take, for crying out loud. God forbid it even be wrong. But you saying Kim Mulkey got snubbed, it's not a hot take. Darren says Nikki Fargas had 10 years to get it done. Yep, she did. Look, we can go with this Rob Manfred thing, but I feel like I really feel like I've said my piece on Rob Manfred. Quite honestly, Rob Manfred's a Rudy Poo, and I think he should resign right now. The Astros, Joe Kelly, marketing of baseball, numbers being down all across the board. Guys, you can't lie with the TV numbers. You can't lie with the overall, the bottom line going down each and every year. I mean, from other major sports in our society, and they're number 3rd. Quite honestly, baseball should be doing better than that. Rob Manfred, baseball, talking with a former Major League Baseball player today, just asking him some questions about it, and he's talking to me about, you had GMs and you had people with the MLB and the MLB office telling him to delete all of his social media accounts because he doesn't need it to promote the game. Like, bro, what in the hell are you talking about? What in the Babe Ruth are you talking about? Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. We look at baseball as the America's pastime. Well, at some point you got to advance, and sometimes you got to evolve. Do things to make kids and make people want to sit down and watch the game. All right. Let's get to a couple more of these. Let's get to some of these comments. Fire inside your questions. It is a Tuesday, so hashtag Ask Blake. Jason Brumfield says, hashtag ask Blake your thoughts on Jayden Daniels. Let's get to that. And then we got Ty Richardson in about 8 minutes. Look, if you missed it, Jayden Daniels, the very, very talented Arizona State quarterback, went to the portal, about 2 weeks ago. And I've kind of been on this kick for the last 2 weeks. I haven't gone out there and talked a lot about Jayden Daniels. And do us a favor, hit the like and share. I haven't talked a lot about Jayden Daniels and the potential of him coming to LSU. Kind of wanted to see what happened here, but I had a feeling there was going to be some interest. Today, it was reported that Jayden Daniels does have some interest in visiting LSU. My thoughts are this, and again, I get labeled the Miles Brennan hater. I get labeled that I don't want him to play, that I'm not behind him. It's not the truth. It legitimately isn't the truth. But you can believe what you want to believe. But if Jayden Daniels, the extremely talented quarterback at Arizona State, wants to come to LSU for a visit, you let him do it. Guys, I can't beat this over the head enough. I don't know if Garrett Nussmeier is going to stay at LSU. I don't know if he's going to stay at LSU at the before spring ends. And I understand that 3 quarterbacks in the room is a lot of depth in today's college football. But my question would be is, do you really have 3 quarterbacks in that room? Because Miles Brennan still has to prove that he can go through an entire season without being injured. Quite honestly, I think Jayden Daniels' skill set is more of what Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock are looking for than maybe what Miles Brennan will give you. Mike Denbrock talked about in his opening press conference, and we've seen this schematically with Mike Denbrock and with Brian Kelly. They like a quarterback that can move. They like a quarterback that they can roll outside the pocket, maybe do a couple of bootlegs here and there, maybe do some zone reads, RPOs. Jayden Daniels fits that bill. Walker Howard fits that bill. Garrett Nussmeier fits that bill. Miles Brennan does not. Quite honestly, and there are some concerns that I have about Jayden Daniels, and I'll get to those in just a second. At bare minimum, if I'm the LSU coaching staff, I'm letting the kid come in on a visit. Bare minimum. And it will be up to them if they decide to move forward with him, if they want to pursue bringing him a part of this recruiting class, and they have 4 spots still available. If it were me, and this is strictly opinion, I would not think twice about bringing him into LSU. Quite honestly, if it were me, I would do everything I could to get him here. I think that LSU has the talent right now to where they can get to 9, 8, 9 wins. I think that they're in that range. 7, 8, 9 wins. That is LSU's range. What's not in LSU's range, I think right now, in my personal opinion, is I don't think LSU could get to 9 wins or exceed it with the current quarterback, current quarterback situation. Do I think Walker Howard's extremely talented? Yes. Do I think that he's ready? No, I don't. And that's not all. And that's also not coming from me too. The Walker Howard camp has talked about through multiple sources and let it be known that they're okay for Walker to redshirt this upcoming season. They only do that because they believe that Walker's not completely ready. Now, Walker may believe that he's ready, and that's completely fine. But we'll see. There's nothing wrong with Walker Howard, a very talented quarterback, sitting a season, coming out to play. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm doing everything I can to get Jayden Daniels on campus because, quite honestly, I do not, for the life of me, just don't have the faith in Miles Brennan to lead you to those 9 wins. I don't have faith in Garrett Nussmeier. Now, I do have faith that Jayden Daniels can get you there. The one thing that worries me about Jayden Daniels, though, however, is he's not the biggest guy in the world. I mean, look, he's a, how do I want to say this? He's a Popeye's biscuit away from maybe being 190. And when Will Anderson or Drew Sanders or whoever comes off the edge and lights him up, it might not be a pretty scene. This isn't, as Dorothy would say, as the great theologian Dorothy from Wizard of Oz would say, or from that movie, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. This is the SEC. And when Will Anderson brings his big ass around that edge and he starts lighting your ass up, then you'll start realizing. However, you're at the same situation that you're with in Miles Brennan. Craig Schilling says Blake said Miles Brennan is a fraud. See, these media members, boy, I tell you what. Darren says, I love it, Craig. Bottom line, Darren says, bottom line, Coach Brian Kelly wouldn't be doing his job if he didn't entertain another quarterback in the portal based on Brennan's injury history. And Darren, I think that you say it in a very simplistic way. Maybe I went very much more from a words perspective. And I think that's what a good radio podcast guy does, right? We oversimplify things. We have to use a lot of jargon, like Dorothy in Kansas. We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. You know where else we're not, but we're going to be tomorrow? Speaking of Kansas, we are going to Arkansas tomorrow. I know. Don't, Blake. How are you going to disrespect Ty like that? He's going to throw them hands. He's going to put them upside your head. I get it. All right, one more, and then we'll get to Ty. Aunt Marshall says, Blake, can we, for the love of God, please talk some LSU baseball? Yeah, we will. Trust me, we will. Nookie says, Kim Mulkey on her weekly radio show just said that she doesn't need another trophy to validate her, but to call Scott Wilbert and ask if she's his coach of the year. If so, pay her bonus money. Bro, God bless it. It's because she's from the 985, y'all. I try to tell y'all about these North Shore women. I'm married to one. My wife acts exactly like that. It's something in the water, bro. It is something in the water. Maybe it's those MasterChef biscuits. But whatever it is, my wife acts just like that too. All right. Let's get to a great play. We're going to go out to Arkansas. Big game tomorrow for the LSU basketball Tigers. Ty Richardson is going to be joining us. Let's get to a very quick break. We're going to go to our good friends over at NordVPN. Guys, I got to tell you, and I keep singing their praises, but you know that the issues that we've had since Hurricane Ida, and NordVPN has really, really just given us so many great availabilities and security and peace of mind since we've been using them. So NordVPN and our good friends over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Guys, what's more important than a peace of mind? Absolutely nothing. And that's what NordVPN is here to do for you. NordVPN is the world's best VPN service, offering the fastest connectivity, most servers, and next-gen encryption to make sure everything that you do online is safe and secure. With NordVPN's unlimited bandwidth, you never have to worry about slow internet connection either. And it plans to start under $4 per month. So grab your exclusive NordVPN deal today by using the nordvpn.com/believe, BLEAV. That's BLEAV to get 70% off your NordVPN Plus. That's nordvpn.com/believe. And our good friends over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Guys, I've been telling you about them for such a long time now. If the insurance company is giving you the runaround, give them a call today for your free consultation. They'll run you through everything. You mentioned AYS, they will do that. Go see them. Criminal law, family law, court, titles, successions, they do it all. That's the drakewilliamslawfirm.com. And I got to talk about my good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm, 985-395-4300. 985-395-4300. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, we got a good friend Ty Richardson from Arkansas joining us tonight. Ty, what is up, my man? What is happening, my brother?
Blake, what's going on, brother? Just getting ready for this game tomorrow night. My dad is a Baylor alum, so he was a huge Kim
Okay.
Mulkey fan. Still is to a certain extent because of the success she had in Waco. So I enjoyed you talking about her earlier. And she's a spitfire, man. And that's putting it lightly, I think.
Oh, dude, she 1,000% is a spitfire. And look, Ty, I think she got snubbed for Coach of the Year, quite honestly. But look, I come off as biased when I say that, and look, I get it. But she is a spitfire. And look, she's from my hometown or close to my hometown. The women all act the same. Look, my wife's right there. We're on vacation time. They all act the same. It's in the water. I mean, that's all I can say.
You know what? Give credit to your wife, though, because like you said, you're in Fort Walton Beach. And I thought that was a joke or something that you maybe play with your listeners. But we have the technology now, you here and us at the radio station, where we can pretty much broadcast wherever thanks to, again, tech. It's nice to be able to do that. For example, I'm flying out to Tampa on Monday, and I will be there all week for the SEC tournament, even though Arkansas does not play till Friday. Got to stay with a buddy that, Blake, he lives 0.8 miles, not even a mile from the arena. So I got lucky with that one.
You did get lucky. See, why do you always get the great deals, Ty? Is it because you have great hair?
Hair's not looking good right now, dude. So I'm in a stage where it's like it's not long enough. I know we haven't known each other that long, but I get a haircut once every 7 months. And that's probably very odd to someone as professional as yourself. But I'm in a stage where I don't have a wife or a kid or a professional job. It's just sports radio. That's not really professional. So I can kind of goof off, and I have the title of the young and dumb, and we know the rest of that phrase, but I'm not going to utter it on these airwaves at where I'm at. So it's just, you kind of got to lean into it a little bit.
I feel you. Well, look, you talked about going to the SEC tournament next week. So let's talk about Arkansas and LSU. Look, Will Wade and LSU basketball is either hot and cold. Eric Musselman, kind of a slower start this season, but Eric, quite honestly, ever since he had surgery, it looked like the team, or Ty, ever since Eric went down, it would seem as if the team got a little bit more focused. And quite honestly, I think that you could make the debate that Arkansas might be playing as one of the best teams in the country. What do you think about your Razorbacks and how they're playing right now?
Musselman and company get the win against Missouri, and they clobbered them, beat them by like 40.
Right.
And then LSU happens. The day after, Muss makes it official that he's getting the surgery. Keith Smart. They just got their first SEC win of the season, and you're like, oh, no. They're going to Baton Rouge. LSU's been playing well. 16th team in the country. Here we go. 8 points down. 6 minutes left in the game. Game's over. No, it's not. They come back and win. Keith Smart's going nuts in the locker room. They're pumped. And then
Baton
they
Rouge
go on.
native, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. He grew up very close to the PMAC. I remember him discussing that. So that was a pivotal game for Arkansas. And now the team's roles have kind of reversed in a sense. You look at where LSU was and then where they are now, and then where Arkansas was, where they are now. They won 13-14. The only loss they've had in this stretch was a 1-point loss in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is not going to be an easy game for Arkansas. Xavier Pinson did not play in that first game. I know you probably talked pretty extensively about that.
Yep.
He is the gas that makes that team go. I'm blanking on the name, like 6'8". Who am I playing? Is it Tari Johnson? Is that who I'm blanking?
Yeah,
Tari Eason. Yeah, that kid can absolutely play. He can shoot it. He can get to the rack. He can post up. I know he's probably their best player, but Pinson seems like the guy that kind of gets everything going. So Arkansas and Muss have been saying all week, we didn't really play LSU last time. 1, I wasn't coaching. 2, Pinson wasn't there. So it's going to be a battle to the very end, as it has sometimes been in Fayetteville, Arkansas, when you play the Tigers tomorrow night.
Right, and I didn't properly introduce you. We've been at the beach all way, but Ty Richardson from Hit That Line AR, go follow him on Twitter at Ty Sports Radio. We'll let him tell you everything that he's doing too. I listen to him every morning. Ty, got to be honest, I be throwing some jabs in there to some of the listeners who'd be disagreeing with you. I just got to throw that in there. But
yeah, even a host every once in a while, right? I know you're talking, because for those who don't know, I do a show with a high school and college referees. So whenever there's a rules debate, I like to egg them on a little bit every once in a while, and it's the listeners usually take my side when it comes, at least that factor in the conversation.
Dude, I hopped in there, and it was that debate, and it was nuts. It was a frenzy, yeah. And look, I love a good debate. It's very, especially a high spirited one. But you talked about that game, and look, Ty, I've been talking about this for a week and a half, and I'm kind of joking, I'm kind of not, but I do not like going to Bud Walton Arena. As a fan, I hate it because look, I feel like it's going to be a little bit electric there tomorrow too. And look, you got fans in the stands mooning people. The building's absolutely going crazy. Do you think that because this game is at home, that it gives more of Arkansas the edge, even if you might have the same amount of talent on both sides?
Oh yeah, Bud Walton Arena is the best arena in the SEC, and here's an easy pathway for me to your listeners. Baton Rouge, Louisiana on a Saturday night, or just a Saturday for that matter in fall, is the best atmosphere in all of college football. Most of you know that are listening. I know that. I haven't been to a game. I got a diehard buddy that lives in Baton Rouge, Blake, that I was telling you about. He texted us after his first Saturday night game. He goes, guys, I love Fayetteville, Arkansas. I love Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Doesn't hold a candle to Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. That being said, the PMAC gets loud. It gets hostile. It ain't Bud Walton Arena on a Saturday. Right. It ain't Bud Walton Arena on a Wednesday night. And you brought it up. This is already, it's not, it goes football rivalry for Arkansas fans, then baseball, because Arkansas fans hate LSU baseball. Maneri and Burtman just used to kick the crap out of Arkansas. Now it's on a little more even playing field. Arkansas's gotten a little more of it lately at home in Alex Box this past season. Basketball's still a good rivalry. Nolan Richardson, Dale Brown, Shaquille O'Neal, Oliver Miller. There's some key moments, and probably the most memorable that has the biggest connection, 2015.
I remember that.
Keith Hornsby, Eric Musselman diagrams that play while he's on Johnny Jones's staff.
Yep.
Hornsby sinks it over Michael Qualls. Game over. There's been some fun games in Fayetteville, and dude, that atmosphere, senior night, Arkansas LSU, it's going to be electric, Blake.
Anytime someone brings up my good friend Keith Hornsby, Mr. AKA White Chocolate, I absolutely love it. So I got to throw out a shout out to my good buddy Keith Hornsby. We do have some questions fired in here, Ty, and one from Ant Marshall. He says, #Ask Ty, how far does Arkansas have to go this season for it to be considered a success? Look, Ty, I think that they've done much more than I thought that they would do, even though they were ranked inside the top 20. But how far do they need to go in this tournament to consider it that a success this season?
I think Sweet 16. I said Sweet 16 initially based on the talent that I saw on the roster. Now we've seen that talent come together and just play rock solid defense, 13 to last. And even in that Alabama loss, they played pretty good defense. I want to see what the matchups look like. And I think Arkansas has a chance to make it back to another Elite Eight. I'm a little skeptical at this point to say Final Four. See what they do tomorrow night against LSU, Saturday in Knoxville, in Tampa next weekend. But this team, the way they play defense, it can always keep them in games. And if Jayden Note plays at the level he's been playing at the elitist of competition, this is going to be a tough out. So in my opinion, Blake, it's Sweet 16, but I'm sure a lot of those guys in the locker room have bigger and larger aspirations.
Do you think Eric Musselman has done something for Arkansas basketball that we haven't seen in a while? Quite honestly, for me as an SEC fan from the outside looking in, it feels like there's just a different buzz with Muss there. Now, we had him here in Baton Rouge, and you always knew that, but Ty, it feels different.
Yeah, y'all should have let go of Johnny Jones and hired him. I mean, what were y'all doing,
We were just getting investigated by the FBI.
Yeah, it seems like that happens every once in a while. Yeah, Muss Greenberg said it, I think this morning on SEC this morning, they calls him a mad scientist. This is a guy that's taking off his shirt, interacting with students, doing all these crazy things, having his shoe designs every single game. He's kind of started a trend with the polo and the slacks. He just does things differently. And his family, him, Danielle, Mariah, Michael is his son on staff, and then Matthew is in college who came back for the Kentucky game. They just really seem to enjoy Fayetteville, and they are Fayetteville royalty there. The energy is palpable. The buzz is there. You can feel it, especially at home games. What's wild to me is Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, and Arkansas are combined 63-1 at home this season. Yep. The one loss comes to Vanderbilt earlier this year, which is still inexplicable and inexcusable if you're Arkansas and how that played out with Scottie Pippen Jr. and his dad just just destroying you that night at home.
Well, LSU's had that same problem with Vanderbilt and Scottie Pippen Jr., but I digress there. Ty, I do want as we pregame that, I want to get your prediction about this game, but you know what, we could do that here. How do you see it playing out? I still think Arkansas is going to win until I see something different from Will Wade and this team. I can't pick against Arkansas. I think Ty could get a little bit ugly, and I hate to say that, but I think it could be a 10 to 15 point win for Arkansas. That's where I'm leaning at the current moment. What about you?
What I appreciated about the Auburn and Kentucky games is not only did Arkansas win, but they were incredible basketball games. The Auburn game goes to OT. We had it play out as it did. Kentucky game, it's close to the final moments. Incredible basketball game, back and forth, multiple lead changes, multiple ties. But LSU's running into a buzzsaw tomorrow night. 5 guys are going to be honored on senior night. A lot of these guys want to be able to show out. Jayden, Note, and Audice Tony still have an opportunity to come back next year. They're probably going to explore, at least look into that after the season is done. I don't know, Blake, if you'll have 19,200 Razorback fans in attendance, but it's going to be close to a sellout. And you know as well as I do, Bud Walton Arena is already a tough place to play. But on the last home game of the season, good luck, Will Wade, because you're going to need it tomorrow night.
I completely agree there. And that's Ty, if they were playing in Baton Rouge, I think it would be close.
Oh, yeah, 100%. No question.
Seriously, the playing in Bud Walton's giving me 8 to 10 points. Like, going to Bet Online right now, placing the bet. Shout out to Bet Online. Ty, I do want to kick it around to some other things in Arkansas, too. Arkansas baseball is starting off a little bit slow, but they kind of hit a little bit of a rhythm. Look, it's early in the season. I tell LSU baseball fans, I don't overreact to baseball at least into the first weekend, second weekend in April. But it's a little strange to see a team like Arkansas struggling a little bit early. From what you've seen, what do you think's going on there?
Well, I'll just look at the defending national champion, Mississippi State, who dropped, 2 of the 3 at home. And
Long Beach State.
Yeah, who's I think a pretty quality baseball team. I'm just going to be completely honest with you and your listeners. I never played baseball growing up. I had the luxury to do a radio show with the voice of Razorback Baseball, Phil Elson, for an entire year. So I picked up some knowledge and picked up some bits and pieces. I am not by no means the baseball expert on our radio station, but I will tell you is this. I think that the people that have watched this team, they know that the conditions are not helping Arkansas. And what I'm talking about, that the wind, the cold, this is a team that was power hitters last year. Right. And you can't really do that in this weather right now. So they, like against Stanford, they had bases loaded, didn't get anything out of it. They lose 5-0. They lose the home opener to Illinois State. Dave Van Horn has never lost a home opener. So people were kind of freaking out a little bit. And I think it was not necessarily validated, but I understand why fans were like, this is the number 2 team on D1 baseball. What's going on? And then you got 2 of the 3 this last week, and SEC play. There's some big time teams coming to town. I mean, LSU's coming to town. Right. Vanderbilt's coming to town. Ole Miss is coming to town. Baum-Walker Stadium. We're talking about Bud Walton a little bit on this show. Baum-Walker Stadium. If you're listening to this program right now, I had the luxury of going to Alex Box for the first time, and it wasn't the height of Alex Box. Team wasn't any good last year. Maneri was out the door, everything that happened. But for me, getting to go to 2 games, incredible. Just a historical venue, to see the numbers, to see the baseball. It was awesome. And I'm going to be honest, like I like Baton Rouge better than I do New Orleans. I've only been in Baton Rouge once, and I like it better than New Orleans. That's probably a hot take. Been to both of them.
Oh, dude, don't check your DMs for the next 2 days. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I like Baton Rouge better than New Orleans. I'm just being honest, man.
I feel you. I'm not going to disagree with you. Believe me, I'm not going to disagree with you. Todd, let me ask you this. I want to get to a football question before we get you out of here too. In a celebrity death match between Dave Van Horn and Tony Vitello, who are you taking?
Well, Vitello's got the age, but my 2 co-hosts always tell me about old man strength, which is a thing. So I think you're talking about my DMs getting blown up for the take I just had about Baton Rouge and New Orleans. I think they would also be blown up if I said Tony Vitello would win that battle and win that fight. So I'm going to take Dave Van Horn. That conversation and I say conversation in the most mild way possible because that was anything but a yarn conversation. It was just a yelling match, was awesome. Like baseball, I feel like the MLB has more of that. You rarely see those type of things in college baseball.
Right.
At least I don't. Maybe you do. So to have that little oomph with that, and I think Tennessee comes to Fayetteville too this year. I got to double check on that.
I think they do too. I think it's like the second last weekend. That's going to be fun.
Tony's going to have a little fun reception, a little background on Tony Vitello. I was in that Italian, whatever. He was an assistant for Dave Van Horn at Arkansas. Incredible recruiter, really quality baseball mind. Did you know about Tennessee baseball before he got there? Because I didn't. I can't name you one quality player. And again, I don't have this massive baseball knowledge, but that is a fun little and DVH. You probably saw those comments. I felt like those were directed towards Ole Miss and Alabama, but people thought they might have been Vanderbilt and Tennessee too. So it's fun. A little back and forth. Baseball needs it. MLB with everything going on right now, the sport needs more news. And DVH and Vitello, or he goes out another coach, or there's a little piss fire between some coaches, I'm all for it because college baseball needs to suck up the news and the ratings and the watches because MLB's not doing it right now with Manfred. Good grief.
Look, we have the Rufino's rants, how we kick off a lot of shows, and I agree with you there. And look, that sells the sport. Ty, it's easy marketing, and even get into Brian Kelly, the whole dancing thing. People were making fun of him, but all college recruits are talking about Brian Kelly trying to do the gritty. I mean, it's small stuff like that, even though it might be silly to some. Yeah, but everybody's talking about it. But speaking of football and transition, and in our business, we call that a transition. Look, I love the best O-line coach in the SEC, and I'm extremely biased because he went to Southeastern, is Cody Kennedy. But I digress there. The Arkansas O-line coach, shout out to Cody Kennedy. Sam Pittman's doing something there that I think is a little bit interesting. They were on the cusp of beating Alabama a season ago. They've been on the cusp of doing some really good things, but now they get in some pieces. They got some players returning. When you look into this football team and Sam Pittman, where do you see them going into next season? Can they get to those double-digit wins?
10 wins is asking a lot with the toughest schedule for the third straight season in college football. And this schedule this year is tougher than the previous two. 2 years ago, you had 10 SEC games. You got Florida and Georgia in that season, which we know Florida went on to win the SEC or get to the SEC championship, won the SEC East. Last year, you still had to go to Athens, went on that trip. Unbelievable. Athens is still a peg below for me than Baton Rouge. I'm telling you, man, Baton Rouge that weekend was incredible. I've got to go back at some point. We're going to Auburn this year, which I'm really excited about. Let me roll through the schedule.
Also really fun and also really loud too, by the way.
Jordan Hare, I'm excited about it.
Jordan Hare is very sneaky. So, if they're good, Ty, it starts shaking in there, and then you see this big ass 8-foot eagle flying over your head. It gets a little scary, bro.
A little scary. Well, they're going to be trash this year, so I'm not worried about that. All right, first game of the season, they open up against Cincinnati, who will be ranked. No Desmond Ridder, but they're still going to have a good football team under Luke Fickell.
Right.
Second week of the season, they get Spencer Rattler in South Carolina, which was thought to be a cupcake game. Oh, Shane Beamer, yeah, he's doing stuff good. All of a sudden, he comes over, that other tight end for Stogner or whatever his name is, comes over from Oklahoma. They actually all of a sudden have a team that they think they can compete for the East. Third week, Bobby Petrino comes to town at Missouri State. Fourth week, go to College Station and take on to Jerry World, take on the number one recruiting class and a Texas A&M team that thinks they can win the SEC West this year. And then the fifth game, you just have to welcome in Bryce Young, the Heisman Trophy winner, and Alabama, Nick Saban. He's not retired yet. He's still trying to win a national championship. They got clobbered in the national championship for their standards. I know it wasn't the Clemson clobbering, but for their standards, that was a terrible season. So what are they going to be on? A revenge tour. You think they're going to be nice to Arkansas when they come to Fayetteville after beating them only by 7? I don't think so. So this schedule, man, is brutal. 10 wins, Blake, that's asking a lot. If they get to 8 or 9, I think a lot of Arkansas fans should be happy.
I agree with that. And look, if they get to 8 or 9, Ty, if they do get to 9, I think you're talking about Sam Pittman in the running for a coach of the year. And I'm serious with that. And so, look, we'll see. I think that they're still doing some good things. Keeping Kendall Browse is absolutely massive. So we'll see it there. Ty, one more. We do have a question for you from Rick. He says, hashtag Ask Ty, is it just me or do the officials at AU and Auburn add 3 points to this team at home in football?
Woo! Don't ask an Arkansas fan about what happened in Auburn, Alabama when they played Bo Nix 2 years ago. Holy cow. Yeah, the Alabama, I feel is just so dominant in so many areas that even the slightest miscall or non-call gives them such a superior advantage that you point that out. But for whatever reason, the Auburn Tigers have been given the benefit of the doubt, even against Alabama.
Right.
It makes no sense. And we always joke about, the SEC offices are in Birmingham. There's too many people that are Auburn alums, Bama alums that work in that office that have impact, that have just a variety of things that they control or whatever. And this is, again, we're tossing out conspiracies, play the X-Files music, whatever. But yeah, Rick, that drives me insane. You're right in line with every Arkansas fan when the idea comes about that Auburn and Alabama, they might get a call or two out there.
I think that they always do. But you know what? I mean, Patrick Peterson did intercept that ball. He was not out of bounds. But, hey, it happens every time we play Alabama. But look, we'll see. Todd, look, man, you've been absolutely fantastic. I greatly appreciate you joining the show. Tell everybody where they can catch you. And I know you're on in the mornings, but tell them where they can find you and all your great stuff that you guys are doing.
Thanks, Blake. Yeah, so you can follow us on Hit That Line AR, our Twitter, or our Facebook. We broadcast, I'm a co-host of The Morning Rush with Tommy Kraft weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. across the ESPN Arkansas airwaves, and Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can watch it. We don't just talk Arkansas. We talk SEC football. We talk SEC basketball, SEC baseball. It's very similar to LSU sports radio content like you have, Blake. It's a lot of your team and a bunch of SEC because we know what butters our bread here in this state and your state too, boss.
Absolutely. Man, you've been fantastic. Thank you again. And we'll talk again soon for sure.
Blake, appreciate it, man. Enjoy some on the beach, dude. You're on vacation, brother.
We are, but see, today's our last day, or we're leaving tomorrow. We were at the beach all day long, but look, man, the bills don't sleep, Big Daddy. You still got to pay the bills. And look, I was off a little bit last week, and so I got to make it back up. But again, got to do it, brother. But I appreciate you for your time, man. We'll talk soon.
Let's have a good game tomorrow night. Later, everybody.
Later. That's our good friend Ty Richardson. Man, I just love him, bro. Just good, great quality content coming out of Arkansas. Ryan says, great guest. Yeah, I agree. And that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to continue to bring on more guests and put out more content from our shows. Brandon, I missed your question here when you says hashtag Ask Ty, how do you feel about OU and Texas joining the SEC? Would have been a good question, especially with Arkansas beating Texas last season. And look, I saw somebody here said, Edward O said that Arkansas football is overrated. Edward, I got to disagree with you there. I mean, because I know that you're saying LSU, they were close to losing to LSU. Well, they're also close to beating Alabama, and so were you. The SEC West was a really deep conference last year. I would make the argument. I wonder what LSU would look like in one of the Big Ten conferences from a season ago. Do they get to 9 wins? I think that they could. And what if you're playing Penn State and Wisconsin every week, and you're not playing Alabama, and you're not playing Auburn, and you're not playing Arkansas, A&M, whoever? So, we'll, just my 2 cents on it. Just my 2 cents. Look, I got a lot of things on Twitter. I should have known this was coming about this Jayden Daniels thing. Look, and we're going to continue to expound on Jayden Daniels and what's going on with him. But if you're just joining us, everybody do us a favor too and hit the like and share. There's no way, and I'm getting a lot of DMs too, but there's no way that I'm letting Jayden Daniels not come on a visit, guys. The transfer quarterback from Arizona State. There's just no way. It's not that I don't think Miles Brennan's not good enough to get the job done. We just haven't seen it in LSU's 21 last games. He went in the portal the couple days before Alabama. How does the team react to something like that? So what is so wrong with bringing in another quarterback? I mean, why did Nussmeier, decide to redshirt without playing in the bowl game? Whatever your take is on that, I'm okay with whatever you want to believe there. But nevertheless, we'll see. I mean, I'm absolutely calling him and lining something up. Because, guys, what happens if Miles Brennan does go down again? Garrett showed against Arkansas that he just isn't ready. Now, can you get him there? Sure, maybe you can. But what if he doesn't even beat Walker Howard out to be the number 2 quarterback? Then what? Then what? And he decides to pack his bags and go somewhere else. Then where are you at? You always have to be recruiting quarterbacks and bringing them on your campus, no matter what the scenario is. And I think that, as crazy as this is going to sound, and just kind of just thinking about it now, Brian Kelly's going to have to clean up the quarterback room. He's going to have to get that position stable. I think he'll do it, and I think that Walker Howard starts that off. Aunt Marshall says, good stuff, Ty. Kenneth says, hey, Blake, BK is going to make LSU great again. Craig Schilling says, Ty was a great guest. Now go get a haircut quicker than every 7 months. And Craig, I forgot about – I was thinking I should have hit on your question about the Atlanta thing. Ty's been helping us about going to SEC Media Days. Craig, where's your favorite place to eat in downtown Atlanta? That's the better question. Hey, Megan, where does Brett and them live? My brother lives just north of Atlanta, and it's not Woodstock. Yeah, they live in Woodstock. Maybe I should ask him. Ryan says Arkansas is solid in football, basketball, and baseball. Yeah, they're solid all around. I agree with that, Ryan. Tony Williams says the SEC West is the toughest conference in America, and you can make the argument for baseball too. Vince Norman, who is an Arkansas fan, says Arkansas was 7 points and a 2-point conversion away from winning the West last year. That's true. That's true. My mother says, where's Benjamin? He's in the other room. Hey, Ben, you want to come say hello? My wife says no, he doesn't. Megan, just let him come say hello to the people. They said he's tired. Bro, he did have he did have a rough day, man. Ron McQueen says, eat at your brother's restaurant. We did eat at my brother's restaurant when we went up there. And Ron says Woodstock. Ron, how did you know that Brett and them lived in Woodstock? Know more about my brother than I do. I always get because they used to live in Canton, and I always forget Woodstock all the time. I could get to their house. I know how to drive there from here, but nevertheless. Kim Elam says the Varsity was always a great place to eat in Atlanta. Okay. Oh, here comes Pooh Bear. Before I bring this up, I asked where to eat in downtown Atlanta. I know what's about to come up. I know what's about to come up. But nevertheless, let's put it up here. My favorite place to eat in Atlanta is the Blue Flame Strip Club wings right up there with Junior Chicken. Should have known it was coming, bro. Should have known it was coming. Rod McQueen says I boiled crawfish for Brett Sunday, and y'all didn't invite us. Eduardo says, don't get me wrong. I respect what Pittman has done, but let's see if they can continue to have the success. I agree. Craig says, Stats Sports Ball downtown is the place. Beer taps at your table, no waiting. I love that. Pooh Bear says, Ben's manager is tripping. If you're calling my wife his manager, that she is. Megan, the chat says you straight tripping, boo. Pooh Bear, she still thought, Pooh, I told you about what she she's like, who's that Pooh Bear you talking to? All right. We will not have a show tomorrow. We were going back home. We'll be watching the LSU basketball game, and then we'll pick it back up on Thursday. And it is my wife's birthday tomorrow. And everybody tomorrow, you need to go tell my lovely, beautiful bride, happy birthday. Do it. Do it. All right, we'll see y'all again Thursday. Y'all have a good night. I'm sure we'll see you on Twitter Spaces tonight too. Peace out, Girl Scouts. God bless.